Hey, welcome back. A few weeks ago, we started developing an ant colony simulation. To finish work on that, I would need some more time. In the meanwhile, I thought we could engage ourselves with something that we can do in a day and something that is simple. Let's have a look at metaballs. Hey Ravi,
Hey, RK.
I know what you're thinking.
What am I
Afghanistan got invaded faster than we completed the.
Dang, dude. Taliban is faster than ants, huh?
Yeah.
Oh,
I still haven't finished doing the ants
that's okay.
thing.
Yeah, I know you're struggling under work pressure.
Yeah. So that's why I thought today we'll just take something simple and something that we can complete in a day.
Yeah.
And we'll see what that looks
So
like.
what is that?
I was looking at something called as metaballs.
Metaballs.
Yeah, I know, man. On this channel we have said the word balls so many times. I'm going to refer to them as orbs from
Orbs.
now on.
Yeah,
from now on,
that's
because,
nice. Scientific.
Scientific. Right.
Sure.
All right. Without much further ado, let's have a look at it.
Got it?
All right. So what I have over here is an introduction to what we are going to be doing.
Whoa.
And this is called as the inverse square law. This is actually what it says is that let's say you have a source of light, right?
Sure.
The farther you get away from the light, the intensity decreases
Right.
in proportion
To the
by
distance squared.
by the distance squared to it.
Got it.
In fact, the inverse square law, you will see it in a lot of physical properties, right? What you see in what we think of or what I'm trying to say is that this inverse square law or formula similar to it appear in a lot of places. Even gravity, for example,
Okay.
is a form of the inverse square law.
Got it.
But let's look at the formula itself. So the intensity of the
Yeah.
force or whatever it is
Sure.
proportional to 1 by the distance squared.
Right.
You tell me that doesn't look like some kind of gravitational formula, because
Yeah,
that's
sure.
what I think the force is distance by gmm square. That's what we've learned at school and everything. Right. So electricity or the force of attraction between two electromagnets, and all of those things are actually connected to the inverse square law in one way or the other. And a derivation of this inverse square law can be used to create a very beautiful effect. A very beautiful effect. Okay? All right. So let's take a look at this.
Okay.
In computer graphics, metaballs are an organic n-dimensional. In our case, it is going to be 2-dimensional.
Right.
Okay. Characterized by their ability to meld together when in close proximity to create a single contiguous object.
Okay.
All right. So we'll just take a look at the formula. We'll see how we can implement it.
Right.
And we'll see what that looks like. Right. So let's just look at the formula. I believe I have the formula over here. All right. So we'll take a canvas that is made up of, let's say, some 200 or 300 pixels, and the intensity of a pixel at a specific location x and y is equal to the radius divided by the square root of the difference of the locations of those pixels.
Okay.
So if x0 is the current pixel and if x1 is the location where the orb is, then you just take the difference, square them, add all of their components and then square root them. That's what the intensity of a specific pixel will look like. Now, I keep using this word intensity over and over again. I have like an Excel sheet to show you what happens. All right. I should probably make this a little bit bigger, but I have over here the value distance and I have the intensity. If it is at distance 5 pixels, the intensity would be like this. I am basically applying that. If you look at the formula that I'm applying, it's the formula that we are seeing behind. And if I do this for all values from 5 to, let's say, 1, and if I chart it,
Right.
you would think that it would be like a linear chart, but it's not. It will look like this.
It's an exponential.
On a single dimension, it would look like this. On a double dimension, it would look like this. So if this is where the metaball was, the intensity of that
is
location,
highest there.
the intensity in this case is like the brightness or the whiteness of that particular point would be proportional to its distance. So the more farther it goes away, the less
white
it becomes.
Correct.
It sort of will fade away from that.
Right.
So that's what we wanted to do today. That's what we wanted to implement.
Great.
All
Let's get started.
Let's get started. All right, what I have here is an index.html page which contains or hosts our canvas. The canvas is 200 by 200, and the HTML file also includes the metaballs.js, which as of this moment is only a skeleton. In the skeleton, we have some global variables, the width, the height, and the context on which we are going to draw on. We also are initializing the canvas element, resizing it if it is necessary, getting the context, and initializing the width and the height of the canvas. The init function also calls the metaballs function, which will act as our loop function. All right. Now the init function is called from the body of the onload of the body in the HTML document itself. All right. With that being said, let's begin coding our main stuff. First, we'll declare constants that specifies the number of orbs we want. I'll also declare variables for pixel manipulation, namely the image data and pixel data. Next, I'll declare arrays that will store the radius, position, and the positional increment values of the meta orbs. I'll first initialize the image data, so it's created from the context and the pixel data that finally gets the pixel values from the image data. We'll initialize the orbs in our favorite for loop. Radius is a random value between 5 and 10. Position is set to a random value so that the orb appears somewhere on the screen or on the canvas. Positional increments are a random value between -1 and 1. All right, here's me declaring the positional values and the positional increments as well. Next, we'll manipulate the pixels of the canvas by going through each pixel of the canvas using our for loops. All right, so I have an outer for loop and an inner for loop. We'll create a sum variable that will be the total of the intensity of the orbs. The intensity, of course, is calculated using our metaball formula. So we'll go through all of the orbs, and the sum is the total of the metaball formula multiplied by 255, because that is the maximum value that a color can have. All right, so this is us writing the metaball formula. All right, so once we've done that, we'll put the image data onto the context. I've also forgotten to set the sum value to the pixels on the screen. So let's do that now. Remember that each 4 elements of the pixel data array represents a single pixel of the canvas. All 3 components of the RGB spectrum are set to the sum value. Let's see what that looks like, shall we? All right, so the orbs are rendered on the screen exactly as we predicted. However, there are 3 problems. 1, there are too many orbs on the screen. That makes it very difficult to identify or isolate each one of them. 2, the canvas is too small. And number 3, and the most important, they're not animating. So let's fix 2 of these problems. Number 1, we'll make the number of orbs, let's say 5 or 6, and we'll also animate the orbs so that they move across the screen. I've changed the number of orbs to 6. Let's add the positional increment values of the orbs to the position of the orbs. We'll do that in this for loop. We'll also have to check for screen bounds like so. Now remember, if the orb reaches the screen bounds, we'll simply negate the increment value so that it appears that the orb bounces off the edge. Now we are doing this for both the X and Y components of the orb. Now let's look at the result of that, shall we? Animating the orbs reveals the true nature of the Metaballs program. Pay close attention to when 2 orbs come close together. I'd say it's very beautiful. But what is more important is that this behaves exactly as the Wikipedia page suggested. Alright, now let's make this canvas a respectable size. We'll do that by first changing the size of our main canvas to 800 by 800. We'll declare a constant that will represent the size of the off-screen canvas. In this case, I'm making it 200 pixels wide. Next, we'll declare the off-screen canvas and its own context. In the init, we'll find out how much we need to scale the off-screen canvas by dividing the width and the height by the off-screen canvas size. We'll apply the scale function to our main context using the scale function. We'll use the document.create element to create the off-screen canvas. We'll first set its size, and then we'll use the 2D context using the getContext function. Next, every place I have checked or used the width or height, we'll have to replace it with the orb canvas constant. This, as you can see, is applied everywhere. Now that I have transposed the animation onto an off-screen canvas and scaled that off-screen canvas onto our main canvas, let's see what the result looks like. Looks awesome, yeah? Okay, I feel like it is missing something though. Let's add some hue to this and see what that looks like. I'm simply going to copy the existing summing code and remove the 255 value from the sum. We'll use the sum as our hue parameter in the HSL to RGB function and set the resultant RGB values to the pixel data's red, green, and blue components. That looks amazing. All right, I think we are done here. Let's have a look at this result with Ravi. You ready to see the results, Ravi?
Absolutely.
All right, here goes. Beautiful, right? Yeah, and you can see, what we saw in this.
So do they get faster the closer they get to another, or they just coalesce?
No, they just coalesce, right? And it's the same formula played over and over again.
Right.
That distance squared formula that we saw.
Okay.
All right. So this is the psychedelic version that I did. I mean, basically, I call it psychedelic, but it's just playing around with the hue, saturation, and lightness
values. Right.
So yeah. The original Metaballs program, I think, or the Meta Orbs program, I think, was developed in like a black and white thing. So I can show you the black and white thing also,
Sure.
And so I've commented that part of the code, and I'll do this. And of course, instead of this, it just has to be whatever sum value I get. So if I did this, this is what it will look like originally.
Ooh,
right?
Nice.
You can see the exponentiation happening right there. Right? So you can see that there is a very definite white border around that thing, and then suddenly it just drops off to something else, making it look like an orb. And it's particularly interesting when two of these orbs come together and they sort of extend out those things. It's kind of it does kind of remind us of the mitosis that we saw last week.
Correct. Yes, it does.
Right?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yep. Totally. Very interesting.
Yeah. I think that's a nice place to.
So what happens here is in the black and white.
Yeah.
It seems that these coalesced balls are sticking together longer because of I can't make out like intensity differences unless they're. You see, when you had the colored version, it was easier to make out the round.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
But here, when they coalesce, it looks like
as if
they're bigger.
They're bigger. Yeah, that's correct. I think that's one of those side effects of having the inverse square law happening.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the human eye, I think at some level, we can't differentiate the intensity difference enough. Whereas in the color, it shows the difference by. Very nice.
Correct.
I like this version better.
Better? Oh, all right. Yeah. All right. I'll decide later which one to use as the thumbnail.
Sure.
But I sort of like the hue, saturation, lightness version of it.
Sure. Yeah.
You said the same thing about the
mitosis.
The reaction diffusion as well. You liked the black and white version more than this one.
Maybe I'm just getting old.
I don't think. I mean, I think it's just preference.
Yeah. Very nice.
This is a nice place to end it. I think. We've done this, and hopefully I do find some time, and then we complete ants next week.
Got it.
Please do join in next week and subscribe if you already haven't. Thank you so much. Bye.
Ciao.